AITA for refusing to pay for my nephew's future for 20 years after my husband volunteered our money? The backyard patio of my in-laws' house in Rosewood, a suburb of Los Angeles, was packed with people. Blue balloons, the murmur of conversations, and the smell of barbecue filled the air. My nephew Logan was turning 1 month old. Brooke forced a smile. Beside me, Derek, my husband, was roaring with laughter with his brother, Paul. I clutched my glass of sparkling wine tightly. $3,000. That was my monthly salary as a logistics manager. Derek earned only $500 from his part-time job at a sporting goods store. The difference weighed more heavily on me each day. A toast. We all raised our glasses. That was when Derek tapped his glass with a spoon. Silence, please. A hush fell over the patio. He smiled proudly. Today is a doubly happy day. He winked at me. I had no idea what he was talking about. Not only are we celebrating Logan, but Paul and Carla can rest easy. I saw my sister-in-law, Carla, squeeze her husband's hand with a tense smile. Derek, I whispered. He ignored me. Brooke and I are going to secure our nephew's future. Starting today, we are taking care of all his education expenses until he goes to college. The silence was absolute. Then came the cheers. Hugs for Paul. Pats on the back for Derek. My mother-in-law, Teresa, had tears in her eyes. How generous my boy is. I was frozen. The glass nearly slipped from my hand. $3,000. $500. 20 years of school, books, activities, and college. It was a huge burden, pure madness. And he had not said a word to me beforehand. He had said, Brooke and I. He had spoken as if it were my money. I pushed my way through the crowd and grabbed Derek's arm. What have you done? Are you crazy? He was still smiling. Calm down, honey. It is family. His breath smelled of beer. You did not discuss this with me. You cannot promise something like that. Of course I can. We are a team. His smile faded. Do not embarrass me now. Carla approached with Logan in her arms. Her smile was as sweet as poison. Brooke, are you so unhappy to help your own family? I stared at her. Carla, this is a joke in poor taste. Derek cannot make a commitment like this. I just heard him. Not with my money. The words came out clear and cold. Carla's smile vanished. The patio went quiet again. Everyone was looking at us. Teresa came over. Brooke, honey, do not argue today. Mom, this is not an argument, I said without taking my eyes off Carla. It is a clarification. We are not paying for Logan's education. We cannot and we will not. Carla rolled her eyes. Always with money on your lips. Derek, cannot you control your wife? Derek turned red. Brooke, shut up. We will talk about it later. No, Derek, we will talk about it now. I turned to Carla. If you want an education plan for your son, talk to a bank, not my checking account. That was when it happened. Carla, holding Logan with one hand, grabbed the glass of ice water from the table with the other. Without blinking, she threw it in my face. The cold water hit me and ran down my hair and dress. A stifled gasp rose from the guests. That is what you get for being a big mouth, Carla spat. Who do you think you are? You come here with your high and mighty attitude and your huge salary. You are nobody to lecture my family. You are the one supporting Derek, poor thing. What right do you have to an opinion? Water dripped from my eyelashes. I felt the cold and a boiling rage. Derek was paralyzed. Paul stared at the floor. Teresa moaned, "For goodness sake, girls." I slowly wiped my face with the palm of my hand and took a deep breath. The silence was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Everyone expected a shout, a sob, or another thrown glass. I looked at Carla with her triumphant smile, at Derek who looked ashamed and furious, at my disappointed mother-in-law, and at all the judgmental faces around me. And then I smiled. A cold, calm smile. The kind I use in meetings when I am about to close a difficult deal. You are right, Carla, I said, my voice clear enough to echo across the patio. I have no right to an opinion on this. I saw them relax. Carla nodded, satisfied. Derek exhaled in relief. For one very simple reason, I continued, pausing on each word. To have an opinion on a family's expenses, you have to be part of that family. Derek frowned. Brooke, what? I cut him off. I did not look at him. I looked at everyone one by one. My mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, the great-aunt, and the neighbors. And I am going to make sure I never again meddle in what is not my business, I said. I paused dramatically. The air felt thick. The next time there is a baptism or any family party, you will not have to put up with me. Not my opinions nor my money. Carla scowled. What do you mean? I turned to Derek. His face was turning pale. I looked him directly in the eyes for the first time that night. I mean, Derek, that first thing tomorrow morning I am calling my lawyer. I swallowed hard. The next sentence came out sharp and clear. I am going to file for divorce. The effect was stunning. A chorus of whats and oh my goodness swept through the patio. Teresa brought her hands to her mouth. Paul's eyes went wide. Carla stood speechless with the empty glass still in her hand. But Derek's reaction was the strongest. His face went from red with shame to white with panic in seconds. What? What are you saying, Brooke? Are you crazy? Please, this is nonsense. It is not nonsense, I cut in calmly. It is a decision. You made yours without consulting me. Now I am making mine. I took my purse off my shoulder. My still wet dress clung to my skin. I will not pay a single dollar for your nephew's education or for anything else. Without another word, I turned around and walked toward the patio door. I could feel every eye on my back. I heard Teresa's broken voice calling, Brooke, wait dear, please. I heard Derek almost shouting, Brooke, do not do this. Come back here right now. I did not turn back. I crossed the living room and went down the stairs to the entrance. As I opened the front door, a gust of cool Los Angeles night air hit me. I shivered not from the cold but from adrenaline. I closed the door behind me. The click of the latch sounded sharp and final. I knew the scandal was exploding inside. Inside me there was only a strange silence and a steely determination. I had just lit the fuse, and my life from that moment on would never be the same. The street was quiet. The distant hum of the freeway was the only sound. I got into my car, a small SUV I had paid for entirely with my own salary. My hands trembled as I searched for the keys. I did not cry. I took deep breaths trying to calm my pounding heart. In the rearview mirror I saw my reflection. Smudged mascara, damp hair and eyes shining with contained fury. I wiped my face with a napkin from the glove compartment. The word divorce echoed in my head, enormous and terrifying, but also solid and true. The drive home was a blur. We lived in a condo in a typical middle-class neighborhood in the San Fernando Valley. We had bought it 3 years earlier. The mortgage was 80% paid by me. Derek contributed only a symbolic amount according to him. I parked and walked up the stairs. My steps echoed hollowly. When I opened the door, the false tranquility of our home hit me. The sofa where we watched shows, the photos from our vacation in San Diego, the plant I could never keep alive. It all felt like a stage set for a life that no longer existed. Derek arrived half an hour later. I heard his fumbling key in the lock. The door flew open. He appeared in the living room doorway, distraught, tie loose, face flushed. What were you thinking? His voice was a hoarse roar. He smelled of alcohol and sweat. You humiliated me in front of my entire family. I turned from the window. I humiliated you? You are the one who made a fool of me. You committed my money and our future without asking. He is my nephew. It is family, he shouted, advancing toward me. What does it matter who earns what? It is all ours. No, Derek, it is not. My voice sounded strangely calm. $3,000 of mine and $500 of yours. It is not ours. It is mine plus a small part of yours. And you do not get to play the generous godfather with my money. Always with that superiority, he spat. Your job, your money. You cannot see beyond the bank account. I see it perfectly. I see the bills, the mortgage, and that you want to pay for private school with my credit card. Did you even do the math? Or did you just want to look good in front of your brother? He was silent for a second. His silence confirmed everything. They cannot afford it, he murmured. And neither can we. I finally shouted. We cannot afford to support another child. Is your self-esteem so low that you have to buy their respect with my money? The words hit him hard. He flinched. You are selfish and cold. You have no heart. I have a brain, Derek. And that seems to be more than you have. He took a deep breath and tried a different tactic. His voice softened. Brooke, please, this was a mistake. I got carried away at the party. We can fix it. Tomorrow we will call Paul and tell him there was a misunderstanding. We will help with what we can, but not everything. No, I cut him off sharply. There will be no misunderstanding. What there will be is a lawyer. I was serious, Derek. It is over. His face fell. What? No, you cannot do this. You are going to destroy our marriage over something so stupid. I am not destroying it. You destroyed it when you decided my salary was your personal fund. Your family finished the job when they threw a glass of water in my face. And you did nothing. You just watched. He was speechless. I went to the bedroom, opened the large closet, and took out the big suitcase. I opened it on the bed. What are you doing? He asked from the doorway, his voice trembling. What does it look like? I am leaving. No, Brooke, wait. Let us talk. He tried to grab my arm. I pulled away sharply. There is nothing to talk about. I spoke tonight and no one listened. Now get out of my way. I started throwing clothes in without thinking. Dresses, pants, sweaters, the basics. Derek broke down. He sat on the edge of the bed with his head in his hands. Please do not go. I am sorry. I am so sorry. His voice was barely a whisper. I promise it will never happen again. I will talk to Mom and Carla. I will make them apologize. I do not need their apologies, I said while packing shoes. I need to live somewhere I do not get water thrown in my face for telling the truth, and where my husband does not sell me out for family approval. And what will people say? My mother. This will kill her. There it was. His real concern was not me or us, but appearances and his mother. I stopped packing and looked at him. Then you take care of her, Derek, on your $500. The sentence was harsh, but I would not take it back. His eyes filled with tears of rage and defeat. I hate you, he whispered. I do not care, I replied. At that moment I felt only a huge emptiness. I closed the suitcase. It was heavy, just like my heart had been hours earlier. I grabbed my work bag and laptop. I walked past him. At the door I stopped but did not turn back. The divorce papers will be sent to you. Talk to a lawyer. I left, closing the door softly. In the hallway, I leaned my forehead against the cold wall as a tremor ran through me. Then I straightened up, went down the stairs, and put the suitcase in the trunk. It was 3 a.m. Before starting the car, I took out my phone and dialed a number. It rang several times. A sleepy voice answered. Brooke? What is wrong? It is 3 a.m. Emily, I am sorry. I need a favor. I need you to be my lawyer. There was a pause, then a sigh. My college friend, now a skilled family lawyer, became professional. Tell me, who is it against? My husband, I said. Something old inside me broke. I need to get a divorce. While talking to Emily, I started the car and headed toward downtown. I had booked a room at a budget hotel near Union Station for a week. A week to think, to plan, and to be, for the first time in a long time, just Brooke. Not Derek's wife, not Teresa's daughter-in-law, not the family's wallet. I looked in the rearview mirror. The facade of our building was disappearing into the darkness. I did not feel nostalgia, just a sour, painful, but infinitely light relief. The fuse was lit, and now it was time to watch the world burn. The hotel room smelled of cleaning products and loneliness. A huge double bed, a wall-mounted TV, a window overlooking an air shaft. I left the suitcase on the floor. The sound of the zipper opening was the only noise. I took out some clothes. I did not unpack. I did not want to get comfortable. This was temporary, a provisional headquarters. I sat on the edge of the bed. The trembling from before had vanished. Now I only felt a vast emptiness and a bone-deep exhaustion. I looked at my phone. 5 missed calls from Derek. 3 from Teresa, my mother-in-law. Several text messages from the family group, which I muted without reading. 1 from my sister, Laura. What happened? Derek's mom called me, hysterical. Are you okay? I took a deep breath. I called Laura first. Brooke, my God, where are you? Her voice, full of genuine concern, almost broke me. I told her everything quickly, without embellishment. The announcement, the water, my declaration. On the other end, a disbelieving silence. But are you sure? Divorce is so drastic. It was not just that, Laura. It was the last straw. This has been going on for years, my money being everyone's, my decisions not counting. He does not see me as his wife. He sees me as his ATM with a family veto right. My sister sighed. I know. I always told you that man was a loser. Where are you? Are you coming home? No, I am at a hotel. I need to be alone. I need to think. And Emily, you said you were calling her? I already did. I am meeting her first thing tomorrow. Well, Laura's voice became firmer. Whatever you need. Money, a better lawyer, whatever. I smiled for the first time in hours. Thanks, sis. Hang in there, Brooke. You are stronger than all of them put together. I hung up. The room was silent again, but it did not feel as heavy. There was a task, a plan. Tomorrow, Emily. Today, survive. I ordered a salad from room service. I was not hungry, but I needed to eat. While I ate, I opened my laptop. I created a new folder. Divorce. Inside it, another. Finances. I logged into my online banking. Our accounts were separate, but we had a joint one for household expenses. I deposited my share. Derek sometimes deposited his. I reviewed the transactions. His recent deposits were irregular and small. Mine were constant. The mortgage, car insurance, and community fees all came out of my account. He paid for some groceries, nothing more. I downloaded the statements, saved screenshots, and documented everything. Then I opened a text document and wrote a list. 1. Meeting with Emily. Ask about division of assets. We have community property laws here in California. Express divorce with agreement? Impossible. Deactivate joint cards. Change insurance beneficiaries. 2. Work. Talk to Rick, my boss. Possibility of transfer to San Francisco. Review contract and mobility clause. 3. Life. Look for a small apartment in San Francisco to rent. Change banking and administrative address. Tell no one my new address. Writing calmed me down. It brought order to the chaos. It turned pain into tasks, into items, into things that could be checked off. The phone vibrated. It was Derek. I did not answer. I let it go to voicemail. Minutes later, a long message arrived. Brooke, please let us talk. I am sorry. It was stupid. I do not think straight when I am with my family. You are right. We cannot afford it. I will tell them. Everything can be fixed. Come home. I am begging you, please. I love you. I read it twice. It did not say forgive me. It said come home. He was not owning his mistake. He was owning my anger. An anger that, in his mind, would pass as it always did. Like when he bought the car without consulting me, or when he lent money to a friend who never paid it back. It was stupid. No, it was the destruction of our trust. I did not reply. I deleted the message. Then I blocked his number. Not forever, just for today. I could not let his panic and white lies enter my sanctuary of silence. The next morning, I woke up with the first rays of sun filtering through the blinds. I had not slept well, but I had slept. I dressed in simple clothes. Jeans, a t-shirt, a jacket. I looked in the mirror. Dark circles, but my gaze was clear and determined. Emily's office was in a sleek building downtown, elegant and modern. When she saw me, she stood up and gave me a strong, wordless hug. Then she sat behind her huge glass desk. Tell me everything. Do not leave anything out. I told her everything. From the salary difference to the constant pressure from his family, Carla's contempt, Derek's passivity. Emily listened, taking brief notes on a tablet. When I finished, she put down her stylus. Okay. A textbook case, but a clear one. Her voice was practical. You were married under California's community property laws. Standard. That means everything earned during the marriage belongs to both of you, 50-50. I felt a chill. 50%? But I contributed almost everything. Emily held up a hand. I know, but that is the law. Unless, she paused, unless we can prove dissipation of assets. That is, that community assets have been wasted. His promise to pay for your nephew's education, made without your consent, could fit. It is a huge future obligation, incurred unilaterally and disloyally. And with your money. A spark of hope. We can. It is arguable. We will need proof. The announcement was public. There are witnesses. Your bank statements show you were the economic breadwinner. His irregular work history also helps. It is not easy. But we can fight it. The goal is a division of assets by court order or a settlement agreement where you get the majority of the assets, which are basically the ones you generated. I nodded. And the process? A contested divorce. You are not going to agree. You file. We will submit the petition. He will have a deadline to respond. Then a hearing. It could drag on for months, but the first thing is the effective separation. You have already done that. Good. Now, protect your accounts. Cancel any joint cards, inform your bank of the situation, change all your passwords. I will do it today. Good. Emily looked at me intently. And now for the million-dollar question, are you sure? Because once I file these papers, there is no going back. It is going to get very, very ugly. His family will not just stand by. The image of Carla throwing water in my face flashed in my mind. The sound of Derek's laughter when he made the announcement. Teresa's look, expecting my submission. I am more sure of this than anything in my life, I said, and I felt it in every fiber of my being. I want a divorce, and I want it to cost me as little as possible in every sense. Emily cracked a smile, the first of the morning. That is my girl. Okay, I will prepare the drafts. I need a list of all your assets. The condo, cars, accounts, investments. And think about what you want to ask for. The house, for example. I do not want the house, I said quickly. It has too much of him, too much of us. I want to sell it, split the money according to the judge's ruling, and move on. All right. That could simplify things. Now go to work, act normal, and do not talk to anyone in the family. If they contact you, tell them to talk to me. I am your lawyer. I left her office. The Los Angeles sun was shining relentlessly. Instead of emptiness, I now felt something different. Fear, yes, but also a strange electricity. I was at war, and for the first time I had a general and a plan. On the way to the office, I called my boss, Rick. Rick, it is Brooke. Do you have a minute? I need to talk about the opening in San Francisco. The call came 2 days later, first thing in the morning. It was not Derek. It was Teresa, my mother-in-law. Her tone was the same as always, sweet as syrup but with a steel edge underneath. Honey, we need to talk. This cannot go on. The family is devastated. Come for lunch on Sunday. Let us solve this like adults. It was not an invitation. It was a summons. I knew it. Emily knew it when I told her. It is a trap, she said without hesitation. They are going to try to soften you up, pressure you as a group, make you feel like the bad guy. It is a classic. So what do? Do not go. You do not have to. I thought about it. I thought about locking myself in my hotel, letting time pass. But something in me rebelled. If I did not go, they would always say I ran away, that I did not have the guts to face them, that my decision was a whim, not a conviction. I am going, I said. But not alone. Would you come as my lawyer, as a witness? On the other end of the phone, Emily smiled. I could hear it in her voice. I would love to. It would be my honor. But Brooke, one condition. I will handle the legal talk. You do not negotiate, do not give in, do not get emotional. You just listen. Is that clear? Crystal. On Sunday, at 1 p.m. sharp, I rang the doorbell of the house in Rosewood. I was wearing black pants and a simple jacket. Armor. Not for war but for the office. Emily was by my side in an impeccable pantsuit, holding her document folder. We looked like two executives arriving at a hostile meeting. Teresa opened the door. She was expecting a defeated, solitary Brooke. Her smile froze when she saw Emily. Hello, Teresa, I said calmly. I have brought my lawyer, Emily, so everything is clear. Lawyer, she stammered. Then she recovered her hostess composure. Come in, come in. How unusual. Her gaze scanned Emily from head to toe. The living room smelled of stew. Of a family Sunday. They were all there. Derek sitting on the sofa, pale with dark circles under his eyes. He did not look at me. Paul, the brother, staring at the floor uncomfortably. And Carla, in an armchair with Logan asleep in her arms. Her glare was a dagger. "Sit down, dear," Teresa said, pointing to an isolated seat facing all of them, the accused chair. Emily and I sat together on the small sofa, facing the group. "Thank you for coming, Brooke," Teresa began, clasping her hands. "We have all been very sad these past few days, very worried. This is madness, a senseless fight. Derek told us you are very angry about the party, and Carla wants to apologize. Right, Carla?" Carla said nothing. She pressed her lips together. Teresa shot her a look. "It is not a fight, Teresa," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "It is a decision. And I have come with my lawyer to formally communicate it and avoid misunderstandings." "A lawyer?" Carla exploded. "Now you bring lawyers to your family's house? Who do you think you are?" Emily leaned forward slightly with a professional smile. "Good morning. I am Emily Carter, Mrs. Brooke Thompson's attorney. I am here to ensure that all communications are clear and comply with the law, avoiding future misinterpretations." Her tone was soft, but every word carried weight. An uncomfortable silence filled the room. The word future resonated. Derek finally spoke. "Brooke, please, this is not necessary. Mom is right. We are here to fix things. Carla apologizes and I take back the offer to pay for the schooling. It was a stupid thing to say. A joke." "A joke you announced in front of 50 people, I replied, looking at him for the first time. "And that your sister supported by throwing a glass of water in my face. That is not a joke. It is a humiliation." "That is enough of that," Carla shouted, standing up carefully so as not to wake the baby. "It was a heat-of-the-moment thing. You provoked me. Are you going to tear this family apart over a glass of water?" "No," I said slowly. "I am tearing this family apart because I was never part of it. I have been the cashier, the one who pays. And when I said enough, I was treated like the enemy." Teresa clutched her chest. "What are you saying, dear? You are family. We have always loved you like a daughter." "Oh, really?" I asked, feeling a cold rage rise in my throat. "Is it normal in this family for a daughter to pay for 80% of everything, for her salary to be committed without consulting her, for her to be insulted and drenched when she objects? Because if that is love, I would rather have hate." Derek jumped up from the sofa. "Always with the damn money. Is that all you care about?" "No," Emily cut in before I could answer. Her voice was a sharp whip. "What my client cares about is respect, loyalty, and joint decision-making in a marriage. Elements that, from what I can see, have been conspicuously absent. She has been the primary breadwinner for years, and her generosity has been interpreted as an entitlement by all of you." Paul, the brother, spoke for the first time in a shamefaced voice. "Hey, we did not ask for anything. It was Derek's idea. It took us by surprise." Carla shot him a hateful look. "Shut up, you idiot," she snapped. "The issue," Emily continued, ignoring the exchange, "is that Mrs. Brooke has made an irrevocable decision. I will now proceed with the formal reading of the communication." She opened her folder. Everyone held their breath. "On behalf of my client, I hereby inform Derek Thompson and his family that Mrs. Brooke Thompson is initiating separation and divorce proceedings, either by mutual agreement or, failing that, through a contested process. We will be requesting the dissolution of the community property, alleging dissipation of assets and disloyal management, and the sale of the common property. My client will not, under any circumstances, assume any financial obligation related to third parties, including the opposing party's relatives." The silence was absolute. Teresa turned pale. Paul sank into his seat. Carla opened and closed her mouth without a sound. Derek looked at me as if seeing me for the first time, with a primal fear in his eyes. What does that mean?" Teresa asked in a trembling voice. "It means," I said, standing up, "that I am not paying a single dollar for Logan's school. It means I am divorcing your son. It means I am selling the condo, and it means I will never set foot in this house again." I looked at Carla. "You were right. I have no right to an opinion about your family, so I am removing myself from it." "You cannot do this," Teresa shrieked, bursting into tears. "He is my son. You are going to ruin his life." "He is ruining it himself," I said, picking up my bag. With his lack of responsibility. And you are helping him. I headed for the door. Derek blocked my way. Brooke, please do not leave like this. I looked him in the eyes. I no longer felt rage, just an infinite weariness and a little pity. Goodbye, Derek. Emily stood up as well. All future communications will be in writing through my office. Good day. We left. Behind us, chaos erupted. I heard Teresa's hysterical sobs, Carla's screams, Derek's broken voice pleading for silence. I did not turn back. In the car, my hands were shaking. Emily placed one on my shoulder. You did very well. With class and firmness. The theatrics are over. Now the paperwork begins. The worst is over. I nodded, unable to speak. I looked out the window at the receding house. It was not relief I felt. It was as if something had been torn out of me, something old and poisoned. And the wound, now empty, was beginning to truly hurt. But it was my wound, and finally it was mine alone. The silence in the car after leaving Rosewood was dense, heavy. It was not an empty silence, but one filled with everything unsaid, with the screams that still echoed in my head. Emily drove without rushing. Are you okay? She finally asked, her eyes on the road. Yes, I lied. My hands were not shaking now. They were cold, still in my lap. I had to do it. It is done. Yes. And it was the right way. With witnesses, without aggression. You made your position clear. Now they will react. She glanced at me. And it will not be pretty. I knew it, I expected it, but nothing prepared me for the storm that broke over the next 48 hours. The first volley was the messages. Not from Derek, whose number I had blocked, but from unknown numbers. Distant relatives, friends of Derek's family. Long messages, riddled with sad emojis and veiled rebukes. Brooke, it is your aunt-in-law, Kathy. I heard about the argument. Poor Teresa is devastated. Think of the family, dear. Pride does not bring happiness. Hi, Brooke. It is Randy, Derek's cousin. Hey, this is all pretty intense. But come on, it is a couples thing, no need to make such a big deal, right? Hugs. I deleted them all without reading them completely. They were not my family. They were his army. The second volley was dirtier. It started with a call from Laura, my sister. Her voice was tense. Brooke, are you on Facebook or Instagram? No, why? I am not in the mood for social media. Well, check Carla's profile. With a bad feeling, I opened the app. I did not have to look far. Carla had posted a photo. It was from the 1-month celebration before the disaster. She, Paul, and Derek smiling with Logan in their arms. The caption read, "Family is everything. Sometimes the path is filled with stones and toxic people who only think of themselves, but the love of those who truly care always prevails. We move forward with our heads held high and our hearts clean." The comments were a viper's pit. Her friends wrote, "Stay strong, beautiful. The ones who leave are the only ones who lose out. Some people do not deserve the joy of a family like yours." An aunt of Derek's commented, "Do not you worry, honey. Divine and human justice will come. Some people only understand the language of money." They did not tag me, they did not name me, but the message was clear. I was the stone, the toxic one, the one who only cared about money. I closed the app. The rage was a knot in my stomach. I wanted to grab the phone and write a nuclear reply, to dismantle their farce point by point. But I remembered Emily's words. Do not feed the troll. Give material to the judge. I breathed. I took screenshots. I saved them in the divorce folder. They were evidence. Evidence of the harassment of the smear campaign. The third volley was Derek. Direct. The next morning, as I was leaving the hotel for work, I saw him. He was leaning against my car in the underground parking garage, pale with several days' stubble, wearing the same wrinkled clothes from Sunday. He looked like a ghost. "We need to talk," he said. His voice was hoarse. "Please. No lawyers, no family. Just you and me." I looked at him. The pity I had felt at his mother's house had hardened into something colder. "We have nothing to talk about, Derek. Everything that needed to be said has been said." "That is not true," he yelled, his voice echoing off the concrete walls. He controlled himself, lowering his tone. "Brooke, please. 5 minutes. I am asking you for what we once were." I hesitated. It was a trap, surely. But there was also a real desperation in his eyes. A part of me, the stupid part that had loved him for years, wanted to understand. I nodded. 5 minutes. Here. No, not here. At a cafe. Let us have a coffee, please. I agreed. We went to a shabby place near Union Station. We sat at a small table. The smell of fried food was thick. He ordered a black coffee. I ordered nothing. Are you living in a hotel? He asked, looking at my hands, my clothes, searching for clues. That is none of your business. He sighed. He fiddled with a sugar packet. Look, about the party. It was a monumental screw-up. I know. I got carried away. I wanted to look good for Paul, for my mom. I am always the little brother, the one who cannot make ends meet, the one who does not have a real job like you. His voice trembled. Seeing Paul with the baby, with his house, his stable life. And there I am, living off your salary. I felt like I had to contribute something, like I had to be the hero for once. I listened. Every word was a nail in the coffin. So your solution was to give away my money to feel better about yourself? It was not giving it away, it was helping family. It is the same thing, Derek. And it was not your help to give, it was mine. I took a sip of water. And Carla throwing water in your wife's face, was that also part of looking good? He flinched. Carla. She is like that. She is strong-willed. You provoked her. He cut himself off. He saw my expression. It was the look he had failed to give her on the patio, the one defending his wife. He quickly corrected himself. It was a savage thing to do. I told her so. She is very sorry. I did not believe him. It does not matter. It is not my problem anymore. Of course it is your problem. You are my wife. He raised his voice. The waitress looked over. He lowered his tone, leaning closer. Brooke, this is crazy. You are going to throw away 8 years. Over an argument. Over my stupidity. It is not an argument, Derek. It is the final straw. It is the drop that made a cup that has been filling for years with contempt, with disrespect, with feeling like your cashier, not your partner, overflow. The words poured out. Clear. You know what the worst part is? It is not just the money. It is that you did not even see this coming. You thought that, like always, I would shut up. That I would pay. Because Brooke always pays, right? Brooke always puts up with it. He paled. That is not fair. Is it not? Who paid for the trip to San Diego you wanted so badly? Who puts up the money for the mortgage every month? Who pays when your car breaks down? Or when you want to go out to dinner with your friends? Me. Always me. And what do you contribute? Part-time jobs, promises. I am looking for something better, he said defensively. The market is really bad. You have been saying that for 5 years, Derek. My voice sounded tired. And I have been putting up with it and financing it and keeping quiet for 5 years. Well, it is over. I have been quiet for the last time. He stared into his coffee, defeated. And what is to become of me? He asked in a whisper. It was not a rhetorical question. It was real raw panic. There it was, the naked truth. It was not what will become of us. It was what is to become of me. Of his comfort, of his financed life. You will have to figure that out for yourself, I said, standing up. The 5 minutes were up a long time ago. Just like I am figuring out what will become of me. Without you. Do not do this to me, he pleaded, grabbing my hand. His touch repulsed me. I pulled away. I promise I will change. I will find a real job. I will never promise anything again without talking to you. I will never speak to my family again. Whatever you want. It was the final tactic. The empty promise, the same as always. I looked him in the eyes, and for the first time, I did not see the man I fell in love with. I saw a scared child who had lost his pacifier. It is too late, Derek. Far too late. I paid for my water and left a bill for his coffee. Talk to your lawyer. Mine are already on it. I walked out of the cafe. I did not look back. I knew he would be watching me, defeated, but I did not care anymore. On the way to the office, I called Rick, my boss. Rick, it is Brooke. About the offer in San Francisco. I will take it. When can I start? On the other end, a pause. Then, his professional, satisfied voice. You can start the handover with your replacement here next week. We will expect you at the San Francisco office on the first Monday of next month. Send me an email to formalize it. I will do it right now. Thank you. I hung up. I stopped in the middle of the sidewalk under the Los Angeles sun. The news of the San Francisco transfer had come the week before, just before the 1-month celebration. An opportunity to be promoted, for a change of scenery. I had considered it but not decided. Until now. I breathed in the city's hot air. San Francisco. Miles away. A new sea, a life without Directs, without Carlas, without Teresas. A life where my money would be only mine, my decisions only mine. I smiled. For the first time in a long, long time, the smile reached my eyes. The storm was still raging out there, but I finally had a ship and a course. The notification arrived on a Tuesday morning. Emily sent me a brief message. It is done. Notification served. Get ready. I read it in my new small rental apartment in the Mission District of San Francisco. I had arrived 3 days earlier. The apartment smelled of fresh paint and new floors. For white, empty walls full of light and silence. My silence. There were no shouts, no reproaches, no tears. Just the hum of the city from the balcony. The divorce papers with the formal petition had been delivered to the marital home in Los Angeles. To Derek in person by a process server. Teresa supposedly had a fit when her son arrived with the blue folder under his arm and a devastated look on his face. The information came to me through Laura, who in turn learned it from a friend who was a neighbor of Derek's mother. Looks like all hell broke loose, sis. From what I have been told, Carla was fuming and your ex-mother-in-law could not stop crying. Derek is a zombie. I did not call, I did not ask. My task was different, to build. On Monday, I had my first day at the new office near Union Square. New people, new projects, a horizon of sea at the end of the streets. No one knew my story. I was just Brooke, the new logistics manager transferred from Los Angeles. It was liberating. But the past did not let go so easily. My phone, a new number that only Laura, Emily, and my boss had, started burning up that evening. First, unknown numbers from Los Angeles. I let them ring. Then came the text messages through old groups or contacts I had not blocked. The first was from Paul, the brother. Short and to the point. Brooke, this has gotten out of hand. Derek is a mess. Please call him to talk. We cannot let a family be destroyed like this. I did not answer. What family? His, yes. Mine no longer existed. The second, more expected, was from Carla. Long, venomous, written with spelling mistakes that betrayed her fury. Brooke, I have heard about your little moves. Papers, lawyers. You are a miserable wretch. Derek gave you the best years of his life and you repay him like this. Abandoning him and on top of that demanding money. You are a user. My son does not need your dirty money but your ex-husband does. God will punish you for this. And do not think this is over. You have a surprise coming, selfish. I read it twice. The rage, an old acquaintance, tried to take hold of me. I wanted to reply. I wanted to write that her hatred meant nothing to me, that her son would get the education they could afford, not the one I financed. I wanted to remind her of the glass of water to the face. But I remembered Emily's words. Do not fuel the fire. Save everything. It is gold for the judge. I took a screenshot. I saved it in the divorce folder, in a new subfolder, harassment/threats. Then I blocked her number. But not before a shiver ran down my spine at the surprise coming part. What else could she do? Derek's call came after midnight. From my old number which I still had blocked, but the caller ID showed his name. I let it ring. He hung up. He called again and again. On the 5th try, I unblocked the number and answered. I did not say hello. What do you want, Derek? My voice was flat, tired, in the darkness of my new empty living room. His voice on the other end was unrecognizable, broken, drunk. The papers. The damn papers. Brooke, you cannot do this to me. Sell the condo, throw me out on the street. He was crying. An ugly sob of defeat and resentment. I am not throwing you on the street. The house will be sold, and the money will be divided as the judge decides. It is the law. It is our house, our memories. Your memories, I corrected. Mine have rotted. You have 30 days to respond to the petition. Talk to your lawyer, not me. I do not want a lawyer, I want you. he shouted, then coughed. Please come back. We will fix it. Let us not sell the house. I will leave. You can have it. Just do not divorce me. Do not do this. It was pathetic. It was pure manipulation. The house, mostly in my name because of the mortgage, was his only valuable asset. Without it, he had nothing. Without me. Derek, good night. Wait, he yelled, his voice a thread. And San Francisco? Is it true? You are moving to that city. Laura again. Or maybe someone from the Los Angeles office had let it slip. Yes. I have already moved. A silence. Then a different voice loaded with a colder, more dangerous hatred than the tears. So you are running away. Putting distance between us. You are a coward. A coward and a harpy. You are going to rot alone in San Francisco. I will make sure of it. I hung up, and this time I turned off the phone. The darkness of the room enveloped me. I shivered, not just from his words but from his tone. It was the voice of a stranger. Or maybe it was the voice of the real Derek, the one who had been hiding behind the facade of the irresponsible child, the one who showed his teeth when cornered. The next day I called Emily. The ugly phase has begun. I summarized everything. I told her about Carla's message and Derek's call. They are veiled threats, but threats nonetheless, Emily said in her analytical tone. Save everything. Do not respond. Is San Francisco going well? Yes, work is good. The apartment is small, but it is mine. Perfect. Physical distance is your best ally. Now he has to appoint a lawyer and file his response. If he does not, it will be a default divorce in your favor. But do not underestimate Teresa. A cornered mother is capable of anything. Do you have the documents I asked for? The bank statements, mortgage payments, everything. Yes, I will scan it all for you today. Do it. And Brooke, her voice softened for a moment. You are doing the right thing. It hurts, but it is right. Do not let the noise scare you. It is the sound of their chains breaking, not yours. I hung up. She was right. The fear I felt was not of being alone or of losing. It was the old fear, the fear of disappointing, of being the bad guy, of going against the grain. That fear was dissipating day by day, being replaced by a quiet, solid determination. That afternoon after work, I sat on the floor of my empty living room with my laptop. I connected the scanner and began to digitize years of papers. Bank statements showing my recurring transfers and his sporadic deposits. Mortgage receipts, always paid from my account. The condo sales contract. Invoices for trips, for repairs, for everything. Each paper was a brick in the wall I was building around my past life. A wall to keep out the chaos, the blackmail, and the emotional debt. As the scanner hummed, I looked out the open window. The San Francisco air smelled different. Of salt, of something moving. A notification pinged on my phone. It was a message from a new coworker, Amber. Wanna grab a drink after work tomorrow? I will introduce you to more people from the office. I smiled. It was a small, normal offer. A normal life. A life starting from scratch but on my own terms. I replied, I would love to. Down on the street, life went on. People going home, laughing, living. I was there, in the middle of that current, building my own channel. The divorce papers were not just an end. They were the birth certificate of everything that came next. And for the first time, what came next did not scare me. It made me hungry. The air conditioning in the courthouse hallway hummed with a low, constant sound. It smelled clean, of disinfectant and old paper. I adjusted the jacket of my suit, a simple black one I had bought for the occasion. Beside me, Emily reviewed some papers in her folder. Remember, she murmured without looking up, do not get upset, do not play his game. Just answer what they ask you. The objective is clear. A quick divorce, sale of the condo, division of assets on our terms. He is desperate. That could make him unpredictable. I nodded. My mouth was dry. It was not fear. It was that electric tension before a battle. 2 months had passed since I arrived in San Francisco. 2 months of relative peace, interrupted only by the occasional blocked late-night call or a message from an unknown number that I immediately deleted. But the legal machinery had continued its course. Derek had finally hired a lawyer, a young guy, according to Emily, the type who thinks shouting is arguing. We had rejected their first proposal. He would keep the condo, assuming the mortgage impossible on his salary, and in return, he would waive any spousal support. A joke. The second proposal was more realistic but still unfair. 50% of the condo's sale, despite the bank records proving my overwhelming contribution. Emily stood firm, and now here we were, at the Los Angeles courthouse for a preliminary hearing. A last attempt at an agreement before the judge made the decision for us. The courtroom door opened. A clerk peeked his head out. "Miss Thompson, Miss Carter, you may come in." The room was smaller than I had imagined. A long table, a few chairs. On one side they were already there. Derek, in a suit that was too big for him, his face gaunt, his hands restless on the table. Beside him, his lawyer, Mr. Larson, a man with a mustache and an overflowing folder. And to my surprise, sitting in a chair against the wall behind them, was Teresa. She looked at me with eyes full of hatred and strangely of pleading. I had not expected to see her there. She was a reminder for them. This was not just a divorce. It was a family trial. We sat across from them. The mediator, a middle-aged man with glasses, began the proceedings in a monotonous voice. "Good morning. We are here to attempt an agreement on the provisional measures and the settlement. I hope we can be pragmatic." Derek's lawyer, Mr. Larson, spoke first. His tone was pompous, artificially indignant. "My client comes here with a broken heart, Your Honor, abandoned unceremoniously by his wife, who has fled to another city. She, with a much higher salary, now intends to leave him on the street and appropriate the common property. It is an injustice." Emily did not even flinch. When it was her turn, her voice was as clear and sharp as glass. "My client has not fled. She has accepted a job promotion. The common property, the real estate, was acquired with 80% of funds contributed by her, as these statements prove." She slid a copy across the table. "My client requests its sale and a distribution proportional to the contributions. She also requests the divorce on the grounds of the defendant's irresponsible spending and disloyal conduct, as he unilaterally committed her assets." She looked at Derek. "And by the way, I ask that the defendant be warned about his campaign of slander and harassment through social media and phone calls, for which we have proof." Derek turned pale. "That is a lie. Is it, Mr. Thompson?" the mediator asked, raising an eyebrow. "Do you deny having made statements or allowing your relatives to make them with the intent of harming your wife?" Derek opened his mouth, but nothing came out. His lawyer touched his arm. "My client reserves his right to—" "There is no right to reserve," Emily interrupted smoothly. "There are screenshots, messages, even veiled threats. All of this will be submitted as evidence of the hostile atmosphere that makes any reconciliation impossible, and that should be taken into account in the division of assets." The room fell into a tense silence. You could feel the frustration boiling on the other side of the table. Teresa could not contain herself any longer. "She is shameless," she shouted, standing up. "She gave my son life and now she is abandoning him for money. You have ruined his life." The mediator lightly tapped the table. "Ma'am, you must be quiet or leave the room. This is a legal proceeding, not a family debate." Teresa sank back into her chair, sobbing quietly. Derek looked at her, then looked at me. In his eyes there was no longer any pleading, not even anger. There was a cold, absolute hatred. It was the look of a stranger. "Derek," I said for the first time. My voice sounded strangely calm in the room. Everyone looked at me. "I have not ruined your life. You have wasted it day by day, promise by promise. And you used my money, my work, to pretend you had a life you did not, to look good for them." I made a slight gesture with my head toward Teresa. "I no longer want to be part of that charade." "And what do you want?" he asked in a hoarse voice. "Money? The condo." "What?" "I want my freedom," I replied, not taking my eyes off him. "I want what is mine to be mine, and what is yours to be yours. No shared debts, no false promises, no family that spits in my face. You are free, Derek. Free of me. Now face what you have built, or what you have not." Every word fell like a stone. It was as if I had slapped him. He flinched. His lawyer cleared his throat. "Your Honor, given this intransigence, my client asks that we consider—" "No," Derek said in a whisper. Then louder. "No. Enough. We all fell silent. He looked at his hands, then looked up at the mediator, avoiding my gaze. I agreed to sell the condo. Let it be sold, let the money be divided, whatever the papers say. I agreed to the divorce. Derek, no, Teresa murmured, horrified. But he continued in a flat, worn-out voice. I do not want any more fights. I do not want any more lawyers. I do not want. He swallowed. I want it to be over. It was a complete, unexpected surrender. Even Emily seemed surprised. His lawyer tried to protest, but Derek held up a hand. Be quiet. Sign whatever needs to be signed. I am leaving. The rest was bureaucracy. A whirlwind of in accordance. It is agreed. And signed. The house would be put up for sale immediately. The money, after paying off the mortgage, would be divided. 70% for me, 30% for him, based on the proven contributions. He waived any support. I waived any future claims. It was a better deal than I had expected. I signed where Emily told me to. My hand did not tremble. Across the table, Derek signed with a mechanical gesture, without looking at anyone. When we finished, the mediator gave us copies. The divorce will become effective once ratified by the court. A few more formalities. You may go. Derek jumped to his feet. His chair screeched. Without looking at his mother, without looking at me, he almost ran out of the room. Teresa sat there for a few seconds staring at me. She wanted to say something. Her mouth opened, but only a wisp of air came out. Then, with her head down, she followed her son out. I remained seated, the papers in my hand. They were light. Incredibly light for the weight they had carried. That was easier than expected, Emily said, gathering her things. He crumbled. He did not have the strength to fight. Or maybe I thought he finally understood he had nothing left to fight for. I nodded. I did not feel euphoria, not even relief. I felt a huge but clean emptiness, like a room after a big move. Empty but ready to be lived in. We went out into the hallway. It was empty. Derek and Teresa were already gone. We went down in silence. As we stepped out onto the street, the Los Angeles sun hit my face. It was the same sun as always, but I was no longer the same person. And now? Emily asked, putting on her sunglasses. Now, I said, putting the papers in my bag, I am going home. To Los Angeles? She asked, confused. No, I smiled for the first time that long morning. To San Francisco. It was true. Los Angeles, the courthouse, Derek, Teresa, Carla, it was all behind me. Locked away in a blue folder. It was the past. I had a flight to catch, a small apartment to furnish, a new life to begin. I took one last look at the gray facade of the courthouse. It was not the end of a story. It was the first blank page of everything that came next. And finally, the pen was in my hands alone. My flight took off from LAX, leaving Los Angeles and all it contained behind. I rested my forehead against the cool glass of the window. I did not cry. In my bag, the papers of the provisional agreement lay inert. They were now just one more pending formality, the final ratification. The war was over. Now it was time to live in the territory of peace, a strange and quiet territory. San Francisco welcomed me with a clear October sky. The air smelled of salt and humidity, different from the dry, stern air of Los Angeles. My little apartment in the Mission District was still half empty, but it now had a table, a chair, a sofa bed, and plants. I had bought a pot hose and a snake plant, things that did not need much, but that grew with a little care. Work was a lifesaver. The hours filled with meetings, logistics plans for shipments across the country, coffee with my new colleagues. With Amber, the coworker who had invited me for a drink, an easy, uncomplicated friendship blossomed. She knew nothing of my past. To her, I was just Brooke, the recently arrived Angelino, a bit serious but good at her job. It was a luxury, a colossal luxury. One afternoon while working late, my phone rang. It was a Los Angeles number. I did not recognize it, but something told me to answer. Yes. Brooke, it is Paul. My ex-brother-in-law's voice sounded awkward, subdued. Do not hang up, please. Just a minute. I leaned back in my chair. Go on, Paul. I have spoken with Derek. He is living with Mom in Rosewood. He is looking for a job, but cannot find anything good. He paused. Carla and I have been arguing about Logan's school. She wanted to enroll him in a private one, thinking that, well, that you would pay. And when it turned out you would not, things got ugly. She says we let her down, that we did not know how to manage you. A bitter tone crept into his voice. As if you were a difficult client. I said nothing. He continued. Look, I am calling because I wanted to tell you I am sorry. For the party. For not saying anything. You were right. What Derek did was crazy, and Carla. He swallowed. Well, you know how she is. This has torn us all apart. It has not torn you apart, Paul, I said softly. It has woken you up. Your wife has had her pacifier, which was my bank account, taken away. Now it is up to you to decide what kind of life you want to build. With your own means, not mine. On the other end, a long silence. Yeah, I guess so. It is harder. Freedom usually is, I said. And it was true. Derek's freedom was terrifying, empty. Mine was too at first, but it was mine. Thanks for calling, Paul. And good luck. I hung up. I stared at the computer screen. I did not feel pity. I felt justice. A dry, imperfect, but real justice. Everyone was reaping what they had sown. The weeks went by. The sale of the condo in Los Angeles was finalized. After paying off the mortgage, my share arrived. A bank transfer with many zeros. Money that was mine alone. I did not spend it. I invested it, part in a fund, part one kept as a cushion. For the first time in my life, my security did not depend on a job, a man, or a family. It depended on me. It was an intoxicating feeling. One afternoon on my way home, I passed a small art gallery in the neighborhood. In the window was an abstract painting, full of blues and grays with a stroke of furious white in the center. I stopped. It reminded me of something. The confusion, the anger, and then that cold white clarity that had guided me since that day on the patio in Rosewood. I went in and bought it. It was my first truly unnecessary luxury. My first gift to the new Brooke. When I hung it on the white living room wall, the atmosphere changed. The room ceased to be a temporary space and became a home. My home. That night I cooked pasta, put on music, and sat on the floor with the painting in front of me. I was okay. I was simply okay. A month later, the official envelope from the court arrived. It was not unexpected, but seeing the letterhead made my heart skip a beat. I opened it carefully. Inside, the judicial order decreeing the divorce. It was no longer provisional. It was final. The marital bond between Derek Thompson and Brooke Thompson is hereby dissolved. My name alone liberated. I took out my phone. There was a message from Derek from a couple of days before. I had not deleted it. I had saved it like a relic of an overcome illness. It said, Brooke, I know you do not want to hear from me. I just wanted to say the divorce paper arrived. I guess yours did too. It is done. I hope you are happy in your new life. Goodbye. I had not replied. What for? There was no resentment in his message, just a vast sadness and a final period. There was no real apology either. It was a goodbye, the only act of dignity I had seen from him in the whole process. This time I opened the message thread. My finger hovered over the screen. Then, with resolve, I selected the entire chat and pressed delete. There was no dramatic confirmation. It just vanished as if it had never existed. The next day was Saturday. I woke up late with the sun streaming through the window. I had no plans. I dressed in jeans and a sweatshirt. I put on my sneakers and went out for a walk with no destination in mind. My feet led me, as I knew they would, toward the sea. After a while, I emerged onto the Embarcadero. The Pacific stretched out, immense, a grayish blue under the autumn sky. The air was cool, carrying away the last of the summer's warmth. I went to the railing, leaned my elbows on the wood, and looked at the horizon. I took a deep breath. The salty air filled my lungs. I did not think about the past. I did not think about the future. I was just there, feeling the breeze on my face, the sun on my skin, the solid ground beneath my feet. I was alone, completely alone. And instead of emptiness, that solitude felt like space, like possibility, like the blank canvas of my own painting. A seagull flew past, crying out. I smiled. I looked back at the city rising against the hills. I did not know what would happen tomorrow. I did not know if I would meet someone else, if I would stay here forever. If my life would always be this quiet. I did not know, and for the first time I did not need to know. I had my job, I had my apartment, I had my money, I had my name clean on a piece of paper from a courthouse, and I had all this air in front of me to breathe. I turned around. I started walking back, blending in with the people who were strolling, laughing, living. I did not look back at the sea. There was no need. I carried it inside me. A constant hum, a quiet strength, a reminder that after the storm there is always a new sky. And I had all the time in the world to look at it. Did you enjoy this story? Leave a comment and hit the subscribe button to support the channel. More tales are on the way.